Hey, everybody. This is Tony Whistler with Drive, and I'm with my good friend Dan Vasquez as my guest co-host for Drive Facebook Live. And we are interviewing and having a conversation with a really cool guy, Mark Granam of Mobile Mark. We're going to spend about 30 minutes with you guys talking about his shop and things he's gotten done. Mark, why don't you kick this thing off? Tell us about you, your shop, where it's at, anything you want the world to know. Fire away, my friend.
Okay. Thanks, Tony. Hi, Dan. My name is
Mark,
Mark Granam. I'm in Palm Coast, Florida, which is the northeast Florida. We're about a half an hour north of Daytona Beach, half an hour south of St. Augustine. Um, Started Mobile Mark about 20 years ago. Moved down from Ohio and was in Florida for about 6 months, and then threw some tools in a van and told the wife that I quit my job and I'm going to become a mobile mechanic. She wasn't very excited at first, but it definitely helped us with our schedule because she worked in a hospital and she was working a 7 to 7 shift, and so we would meet halfway up US one, and I would take my daughter, which I only had one at the time, and kind of switch off and on. So I was trying to work 7 to 7, and she was trying to work 7 to 7, just trying to make ends meet. But started Mobile Mark 20 years ago, just me, myself, and a van and some tools, and just kind of ran the roads and looked for jobs to do, and build a business from there. Um, I can go into details about over the last 20 years. We've built that to a 6 bay shop. I've got 6 techs. The van behind me there is a van that stays on the road pretty much 40 hours a week. I've got another emergency vehicle that we'll send out on emergency calls. I've got 2 service riders now and a shop general manager that pretty much sees the day-to-day operations. Um, but
well, I love that van. That
Yeah,
van is really great.
yeah. Thank you.
Um,
I'm kind of old school. I like the old school flames on the vehicles, so I'm kind of old school at heart. So yeah, but
yep.
it's a rolling billboard here in Flagler County, which we cover pretty much all of Flagler County. Flagler County is based on Palm Coast, Flagler Beach, and the Bunnell area. My shop's in the Bunnell area here. Probably in a 2 mile radius of my shop, probably have a total of probably 10 shops in this
Mm,
area.
right.
So very tight knit community. It seems like everybody knows everybody. I built my business off of word of mouth. Really never had to per se pay for advertisements. I took it to heart that if I can help 10 people out there, 10 people are going to tell 10 of their friends, which are going to turn into 100 people I'm helping, which are going to turn into 100 people telling 100 people, which are going to turn into 1,000 people. So
Yeah.
very quickly, and over the years, my clientele, my friends, people that I work on their car, they've connected with me, and they've helped me on social media. I do a lot of Facebook marketing, putting things out there, and a lot of my customers support me. Um, I had a customer just the other day said, hey, I've seen a lot of people recommend you on Facebook, but I never see you on there. And I just told him, I said, I'm just to the point where I don't need to toot my own horn anymore, that my reputation comes before me.
Right.
Somebody asked for a mechanic. I normally have a lot of my customers that I've treated fair over the years. They are my mouthpiece anymore. So I don't
Yeah.
really have to go out there and do that anymore.
That's wonderful. And, we always say that there's a lot of ways to market, but the most powerful and potent marketing is just what you described. It's that word of mouth.
Yes.
It's because it's like you're talking face to face with someone and you say, hey, man, my car's doing something weird. And the guy says, I got the guy for you.
Yes.
I got a guy. And you go, okay, well, you're my friend. And so, no, there's nothing more powerful than that. And I'm really glad to see that that's been successful for you. I think it
Yes.
also helps that you have really strong branding. Like that's part of the reason. Not only do I think that van looks cool, but I also think that it's good branding. Like like if I lived there, I would notice that van immediately, even before my eyesight was good enough to read the words. I'd know exactly who you were. and I love it. I love how long have you been interested in, you have to have been interested in branding because you have such great branding. Like
Hmm.
you have to have been into it. How long have you been interested in that kind of thing?
Um, I mean, I've always been an entrepreneur. I didn't go. I've never stepped a foot in a college. I've always wanted to, from a very young age, know that I was going to work for myself. I'm, if anybody knows me, especially my wife, knows that I'm not the type of person that's going to tell me how and when and what I'm going to do. I got to make up my own mind, and then I'll get it done. So I had a vision. Back when I first started, I ran junk vans. A lot of my customers would call them, the Candyman vans, because I would black out the windows and I'd fill it with tools. And I mean, it just, you know what kind of van I'm talking about. But I had a vision, and I'd let all my customers know what I was looking for. And I had a customer one day call me and say, "Hey, my brother's uncle's cousin is selling a van. It's the van that you described to me." So I went over and looked at it, and here it was, an old DHL van, painted yellow. It wasn't your standard white van. It wasn't your standard, black van, silver van that you see, multiple times a day. It was a bright yellow van. And I said, "Yep, that's it." So he actually, and that was back when I had no money. He gave me a loan to go buy it. And from there, the place I went is I went over to my brother, who went to college for a year and a half before he ended up dropping out, because he's got the same mindset that I've got. We cannot be controlled. And he went to college for graphic design. And
Beautiful.
I told him what my vision was this, a circle, kind of like a tire or something, with an M in the middle of it, and then Mobile Mark kind of flying off of it. And so he created that logo for me probably about 12 years ago. And, we've just been branding it. I stamped that logo on everything, had stickers made, and, that is our logo. That is our brand.
It's a
So
good
yeah, I
looking
mean,
logo.
I get people all the time. A couple years ago, I did run a contest one month, who can spot Mobile Mark, and I was going to get $100 gift card to Outback. And I mean, I
Did they have
had
to text
people
you or something? How did the game work? Did they have
on
to like
Facebook,
text you on Facebook? So they had to
So
go on
yeah,
and
so I was having my customers snap pictures of their, my van rolling down the road. And most of my customers, especially um when I had Ralphie passed away back in July last year, but when I
sorry
had
to hear
him in
that.
my van, I mean, he ran the roads. He was the first one to come in, the last one to leave. And I mean, I would have to beg him to go home at night so I could go home. But my customers would come in and they were like, "Yeah, I seen 4 of your vans today." And I'm like, "4 of my vans?" And they were like, "Yeah, they're all over the place." And I'm like, "No, I've only got one
I've
van."
only
And I'm
got
like,
one.
yeah, it's like, so, some customers think I have a whole fleet of vans, because we're like nonstop in the community, so,
That's so
but it's,
good.
it's, it's been a fun ride.
Oh, that's
That's good.
great. I love that. The first business I owned, it was a van driven business, and I had a rider van. I bought a used rider van that was bright yellow.
Okay.
So me and you are in the same boat there, right? That
All right.
bright yellow
All
van
right.
could be seen from anywhere.
Yep.
I love the color yellow. I love the color yellow. It's really
Yeah.
great. Yeah, I
Now,
do.
now, Mark, I know that you still do mobile service, but that's not the majority of what you're doing these days, from what I hear. Is that right? You also, I know that you bought your property at the end of last year, and you've got a
Yes.
brick and mortar, and you're doing a lot of general repair in there
Yes.
as well. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. So I've been renting my shop for the last 10 years. Finally sat down last year with my landlord and had a heart to heart with him. Just, I mean, I've always hinted that I wanted to buy the building from him, but last year my accountant, we went over a threshold. I'll go back just a little bit. About 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I went over right in the middle of COVID. COVID exploded my business. We went 50-60% increase through COVID, just
Beautiful.
because everybody's keeping their cars longer. But last year we did roughly, a little over another $1 million a year. And my tax man said, you're at that point where the taxes, the government's going to eat you alive. You need to buy your building. So I sat down with my landlord, had the heart to heart, and Drive has been telling me for the last few years that you need to buy your building. You need to buy your building. But it was just one of them things in my mind. okay, I'm 20 years into my business. I'm 50 years old. Do I really want to sign a 20, 30, year mortgage on something? And I was just thinking about that aspect of it. But through coaching and training, I've gotten different ideas and they've helped me understand, different ways of thinking of that. But I did buy my building last year. We had a 4-bay shop and it had a paint booth in it. I decided to get the paint booth out of there and put 2 more lifts in. So now I got a 6-bay shop.
Beautiful.
And right now, since we've lost Ralphie out on the road, I do have another guy out on the road, but right now we're probably doing about 75% of our work here at the shop, 25% of it out on the road. We're just using pretty much just maintenance and very small repairs out on the road where we're trying to get all the bigger stuff back to the shop. And since buying the building, I've gone into digital inspections. So now we can, digitally take pictures of cars for customers. And, we're per se looking for extra work to do. But number one, we're looking to try to save the customer money. Let's do maintenance on your car instead of repairing your car. Because if I can find something that's, starting to go bad, that, a ball joint's going to affect your control arms, your motor mounts, all different other parts of your car. If we can fix that one small problem now, we can save you on the bigger bills later. So, digital inspections have definitely helped us do that. And, just keeping the cars safe for our customers out there, because not every day we want to go out and have to buy a car. So if we can keep them on the road longer, we're saving them money in the long run.
Absolutely. I used to always,
Go
as an owner of a vehicle, I think we all can say we're that.
Yeah.
I always used to weigh how much money am I spending maintaining it versus what it would cost me in a monthly payment.
Yeah.
And the way monthly payments are, I can't imagine that my automobile will ever get to where I need to drop $500 or $600 a month on maintenance or on repairs. If it got to that point, I would have to just go buy something else. But it's like, it just seems like you just hold on to the car and it's worth it. And when you have a great relationship with your mechanic, which I did, right? I have a really good relationship with my mechanic. He's also a drive client, and I trust that guy so implicitly that it's just, and I don't spend that much money with him. I spend a healthy amount, but not what I would pay to buy a new car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just reading something the other day that the average car payment's like $777 a month. And, now these banks are kicking them out in, 96 months, and
like
it's
buying
just,
a house in 1975.
It's crazy. It is. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But
get a mortgage on my car.
I love to hear about your passion, for taking care of your customers. That's great.
I have one quick question, Dan. Sorry to interrupt. Because you were talking about your shop and you're talking about how you have like both business models going. I heard that you went to a 4-day work week. Is that correct?
Yes. Just actually the beginning of this month, my guys have been killing it for the last like 4 years. Like I said, ever since COVID, just everybody's keeping their cars longer. Excuse me. And just the business has grown over the years where I've been working them to death. And so I've been thinking about it and talking to other shop owners and, consulting with Drive, and decided that we're going to give it a try. So at the beginning of the month here, we decided to go to a 4-day work week, 4 10-hour shifts, talked to my guys about it. They got pretty excited about it. So we're actually closed on Friday, Saturday, Sundays now. It kind of balances out a work life and a personal life. Because none of us are getting any younger. And, when you get to the point where, this year will be my 20 years in business, and you get to the point where it's just, you start to get burned out. And I still love working on cars. I still love my customers. I still love everybody, but you get burned out. You see the light at the end of the tunnel, but 9 times out of 10, it's a train coming at you. And you got to ask yourself, why am I here? What, am I only put on this earth just to work on cars for the rest of my life? Or, can I enjoy life a little bit? And where's the fine line at? So 3 weeks ago, we put it in full effect. My guys are working 4 10-hour shifts and taking off Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. They seem to be loving life now.
That's
I'm enjoying
beautiful.
it. Back in November, I turned 51, and my wife pulled up the GPS and said, "Why are you at the Harley Davidson dealership?" And I
I
came home
love
with a
that.
2024, Harley Road Glide.
Beautiful.
So
Awesome.
I owned a bike 20 years ago before I moved to Florida. Had my first daughter, sold it off to pay some bills and to move down here, and decided it was time this year. I've been asking her, talking about it for the last 20 years, and she really didn't want me to get one, but we can't live life in a bubble. We have to enjoy it. I enjoy riding, so there's some days that on a Wednesday, now I've got my Frank, my shop general manager in place running the day-to-day operation. So I'll jump on the bike on a Wednesday and just go for a ride. There's places in Florida that I've never been, and just kind of relax my mind. Think about how we can get better as a team here at the shop, how we can help more customers. I came up with a slogan last year, we're here to keep Flagler moving. And that's what I want to do is I just want to keep Flagler County moving,
I love it.
one car at a time.
Yeah, and one of the things I'd like to mention when you talk about surveying your team and going, would you like to do this? And they were all excited. Obviously, one of the most important things for an employee is, and the way you retain a great team is you allow for them to have a legitimate work-life balance. And
Yeah.
if you're really creating that work-life balance, you can really anchor in a lot of good employees that will never leave you because they will go somewhere else. They just don't know what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's wonderful. Now, Dan, you had a question and I rudely interrupted you earlier. So
No, it's funny. You were segueing right into what I was going to segue into, which is that not only is he passionate about the community and his customers, but also his employees, and that he made that leap. I knew switching over to 410. And then one thing I heard you say is that I go for rides on Wednesdays. So I just want to make sure everybody kind of heard that. So your business is only open 4 days, and you're only there for 3 of those 4 days. Did I hear that right?
Most of the time, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel guilty. I'm not to that point yet where, I don't feel guilty.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, it's like I have to be there. But, on the other hand, I got this little guy on my shoulder saying, you're supporting, probably 8 families that work for you. The company is taking care of their customers. You've trained all your guys. They know what to do. They care about the customers. It's, I just don't hire some Joe Schmo off the street.
Mhm.
They have to be on my same mindset. They have to be able to want to go somewhere, in life. They want to make money. They want to take care of the customer the correct way. They want to do the job, right the first time out. So that's what I look for when I look for somebody to join my team, is somebody that wants to do something while on this earth,
Yeah, that's
and
Yeah.
wonderful.
in my mind, I was put on this earth to fix cars, so I'm going to do it to the best of my ability as a human being, and go to bed at night, put my head on that pillow, and my wife tells me, how do you go to sleep so easily? Because I don't have to think about how I took advantage of anybody. I don't have to think
Yeah.
about how, you know what if, or remember those lies that I told,
Remember
or
those
anything like
lies.
that.
Exactly.
Exactly. My dad always taught me as a young child, if you tell a lie, you're gonna have to remember that lie and keep telling the lie to cover up that first lie. So
Mhm.
integrity and honesty are a key factor for the last 20 years on how Mobile Mark was built.
That's
And
beautiful.
you know,
That's great.
Hey, so
That's
when
great.
so what do you do when you take Wednesday off? Tell me how an average Wednesday goes.
I talked about my daughter, 20 years ago. Now I've got 3 daughters. So a lot of times Wednesdays they're at school, so just me and my wife, we really don't get a lot of alone time, if you will. So On Wednesdays, a lot of the times we'll go down to Sam's Club down in Daytona and just walk around, or we'll go to lunch. I don't know when the last time I actually just went to lunch with my wife. But here over the last 6 months or so, I've been trying to take Wednesdays off, and 90% of the time I am. But we'll go to lunch, we'll go down to Sam's Club, I'll come back, I'll jump on the bike for a little bit, I'll come home. I've picked my daughters up at school. Just it gives you options,
Yeah.
to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, who you want to do it with. So same with the Friday, Saturday, Sundays. It's given my guys options, it's given myself options. And just to circle back on that, we went to a 4-day work week, and we're still doing the same volume. We're
Beautiful.
still doing the same volume of cars. We're probably actually doing a little bit more. This week we had a phenomenal week. We actually did roughly about 15% more than we normally do. So we had a very strong week. It's tax time, so we're getting a lot of bigger jobs in, helping a lot of customers, when their motor blew up, 6 months ago, and they had no money. When now they, with tax money, the government's giving some money back to us, and they're, people are putting it in their cars right now. So we had a phenomenal week last week. But just going to a 4-day work week has definitely, I think, opened up a vision, and me taking off some Wednesdays has definitely opened up a vision of the possibilities of, what life can be other than working 8 days a week.
Yeah, that's really amazing.
So
that's really great. So, hey, Dan, I think it's time for a commercial break. Are you ready? Do we have a commercial break teed up?
Yeah, actually we do. Yeah. So we just wanted to let everybody know that this month is Leadership Month here at Drive. And celebrating that, next week, we're going to have Deanna Cole from Cold Service Center on the show. She is a Sustained Master Elite Shop Management owner. She's also one of our Drive workshop instructors. She's a great leader in her shop and here at Drive. So the other thing I wanted to mention was that we do have Expo coming up this year, this September, at the Westgate in Las Vegas. And so make sure that you are getting registered for that, and make sure that you get your hotel booked for that before you lose out on any kind of group hotel discount that we have set up. So we're super excited about that. We hope that everybody is going to be at this year's Expo. And that's it for now. So I'll put it back to you, Tony.
Thank you very much, my friend. And speaking of the Expo, you are coming to the Expo this year, right, Mark?
Yes, of course.
Yes.
I'm actually in the running for a master's. We're running for the masters. I'm in the apprenticeship to do the masters right now. It's been kind of a struggle, especially with trying to take, part of me says, okay, I need to take some time off, but yet I got this to do and I got this to do. And so it's been a little bit of a struggle trying to, just gather my thoughts and get everything done. But my coach keeps pushing me along the way, and we will get it done. And yeah, we're shooting for masters at the Expo this year. And I did put out to my guys a goal that if we can accomplish this goal, before the Expo, that that we have the dinner there and the awards dinner and everything, that if we can hit this goal, that I will pay to send my entire shop.
I love it.
Shop and spouse. I will pay to fly them out to Vegas for us for those couple of days and have a great time. So
that's wonderful.
If you're listening, guys, I'm putting the ball in your court. I'm putting my money where my mouth is.
Yeah. What I would say about Masters of Shop Management, our certification program is it's the gold standard in this industry. And I would say that a lot of shops are hitting the necessary metrics or the necessary benchmarks to actually be masters, but we want to make sure that they've done all of the prereqs for the training and such, but we also want to have evidence that they're doing it. So that's where it gets it can be a little trying or a little time consuming, because you're working a checklist with your consultant on finding out where all these things are. But the truth is you've already hit those benchmarks, but you just got to get it all down. And that's, just talking about how you run your shop and what's going on there, I feel like master of shop management is you've attained it. Now you just have to get all your ducks in a row. And then once we have all of that in place, then then you get to come to the expo. And one of the great things about the expo that I always loved was we have our awards dinner, and that's where shops who are on the program who have attained these different certification levels get to come up and share their story of how they got there with other shop owners. And that is always, I mean, I usually tear up, when I'm doing this. So the food's really good. And I usually have a few, they usually have a bar too, but we won't talk about that. But like I'm telling, but I really do. It's emotional. It's hearing how a person, all of their employees, their family, all of the employees' family, how
Yeah.
everything changes as you go through a process of building a business, going from whatever it might have been when you came with Drive to being what we would consider to be a fully successful, what we call operational shop, is just a profound. And I've seen people up there giving their speeches that break down in tears too, because it's so profound of a life-changing thing. But it sounds to me like you're just needing to get your ducks in a row as far as the administrative side of getting everything evident, all the evidence in place and all
Yeah.
of that, because it sounds to me like I mean, it's unquestionable. If you're taking time off and the kind of numbers you were throwing around, I don't know, man. It feels to me like you're already there. You just got to get everything in place. I am almost 100% certain that you'll be on the stage accepting that Masters Award come September. I'm not quite sure which of those 8 days, the September 18th, 19th, or 20th, we will actually have the dinner, but it'll be one of those 3 days. We're going to have that awards dinner. I'm almost 100% sure you're going to get it, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about it. And I can't wait to meet your crew. I can't wait to meet your crew.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it I'm doing already, like you said. It's the biggest thing about Drive. The reason why I got involved with Drive, 3 years ago, the end of 23, 2 years ago, is I did not know what I did not know. And like I said, I've always been an entrepreneur. I've been in, a lot of different multi-level businesses and whatnot, and read a lot of books, understood the concepts, but actually fine tuning it where right now I'm more or less managing from numbers instead of managing the people themselves, if you will. So that's what Drive has done for me, is be able to go behind the scenes and to manage by numbers, make sure, everything's done correctly that way. So yeah, it's just fine tuning what I don't know, if you will.
That's awesome.
And I know it, but I don't know it. So if you can
And
understand the
you
concept.
don't you don't know it until you know that you know it.
Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, I'm excited to come back out to Vegas. This will be our second Vegas Expo. So yeah,
Oh,
I'm
that'll be
excited.
great. I can't wait to see you guys. Now, here's the other thing I wanted to talk about. This happens with a lot of shops that are moving into that realm. Dan, by the way, I think most people know, is also a master of shop management.
Master Elite, actually, yeah.
You're Master Elite now. Oh, when
Yeah.
did you hit Master Elite, Dan?
Last year, the first year I did Master, and the second year I jumped right to Master Elite.
Killing it. Killing it. So I really sincerely apologize that I underpresented. No, he's a Master Elite shop. He has a lot that he does in his life. One of the things that he decided that he wanted to do was help Drive, because we call that stage 6, where you decide that you want to give back to the industry. And he's one of my best instructors. He helps me out. Most all of my instructors, except for a very small number, are shop owners who have made it to Masters or Master Elite or sustained Master Elite, like Deanna. She's another one of my instructors. So I want to ask quick, while we still have a couple of minutes, Mark, have you ever considered coming and helping us out at Drive and being either an inspector for our on-site inspections or possibly being an instructor for me?
I have. Actually, me and my wife have discussed it, and because she takes some of the classes, outside without me, and she also takes some of the classes with me.
Mm-hmm.
And she's always said, actually, from day one, I can see you doing that. Once you get to that point where you're out of the shop or you retire, I can see you being some type of an instructor or something. But yeah, I mean, I would love to figure out something, either take over the southeast region of inspections or something. Yeah, I would definitely love to do that.
Right. And one of the things about being an inspector on an on-site inspection for the Drive on-site inspection services, very often we deliver a workshop there too to the entire team. It's called the efficiency workshop.
Yep.
And we deliver that to the entire team inside the shop on a day when you're not open. And it's like ran like a classroom, like a workshop. And so being a great instructor is part of that skill set too. And I can already tell I'm a pretty good judge of talent, and I can tell you would make a great instructor and a great on-site inspector. So when
All
you're
right.
ready to take that next step, because what it can sometimes happen is a person can get to the point where they've gotten their shop so dialed in, but they don't have a dream. They don't have a real purposeful thing they want to do after that. And what do? They just kind of wander around the periphery of the shop until they kind of keep spiraling into the middle of the shop. And then before you know it, they're starting to unfix a lot of things that are fixed so they can have something interesting to do with their lives, because there's nothing more annoying than being bored out of your mind. So
Yeah.
especially when you're a shop owner, so then you're like starting to like unfix stuff. And so we always go, look, you got to find something that's really like gets you excited to do after, while the shop is operational, you're doing this other thing. So you want to come be on the team with me and Dan? I'd love to have you, my friend.
Okay.
Me
Awesome.
too.
Awesome.
Hey, Dan, is there anything else you want to ask him or add before we call it a day?
No, we're just about the top of the hour. The only thing I will say, I'll add one thing in regards to the expo real quick. So I got to meet Mark at the expo last year, and we sat at the same table, and got to get to know him a little bit and hear about his shop, and just your tremendous growth at the shop, your growth in leadership, and it's funny how it's leadership month this month here at Drive. I mean, but I've just watched you just transform into this great leader. I've had you in a bunch of my workshops, and so I commend you for that. I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you're starting to experience some of the freedoms that we can have as shop owners, thanks to Drive, really, and the tools that they've given us. So congratulations. I'm happy for you. It's been great, just being along for the ride and getting to watch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
I am too,
Appreciate
and
that.
you guys are both great. Okay, so that's the end of our show, everybody. I just want to say thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next Friday on the next Drive Facebook Live. Goodbye.